Hello guys, Jerry speaking. Welcome to LJPCBM React, episode number 726. And we're back from the dead to do LJPCBM React episodes after a long hiatus. So, thank you for your patience and understanding. And today, we react to Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, episode 5. Jeff Sutphen, producer and game show host of one of the somewhat, shows that I have never wanted to enjoy this ever again. You Pick Live. He also hosted Brain Surge. That one I never seen before. So this one I'm gonna react to this to begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hi, I'm Jake, and welcome to the newest podcast on YouTube for Jake's
Okay.
Perfect YouTube people who follow the big show.
Is this audio only?
We'll be sharing our favorite memories, talk behind the scenes moments, and so much more. I'm your host, Jake Greenwald, and welcome to this Happy Nostalgia Show episode.
And thankfully, he didn't show our and all that, and show our some shit like this. Continue on. Excuse my language. Continue on.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show. I'm your host Jake, and our co-host ScreenFlow Matthew Johnson, and his second appearance of the show as a co-host in this episode, Wyatt McCullough. How are you three?
Good. Happy to be here again.
Very awesome. Very awesome. So, before we're going to, the guests we're having this episode, is that thank you all so much with the support we're having, especially that we're almost to these subs, and as well as especially for Spotify viewers. And yes, if you guys don't know, if you guys are new to this podcast, it's basically
Which I react to the past 4 episodes. And by the way, first of all, I've been doing this I've been reacting to this 4 episodes, and one for 3 episodes each, and the other one was the 700 episode, which is celebrating my 700 episode of React. Continue on.
podcast, nostalgia moments about childhood, and we have Mixcloud, Spotify, and of course YouTube channel.
Well, at the time, it was somewhat for me, because some of your episodes were somewhat. Some of them were happy. Others of me angry. I'm sorry, but it is not really a happy nostalgia show to me. But it's just no offense to you, Jake. So I'm a huge fan of Barney, Sesame Street, and other things, but not Imagination Movers and all that shit that's been going on. Continue on.
For you can stream on that too. And as well as if you're new to this, if you guys want to support, and follow us on social media or this podcast, you can check the description, and as well as, of course, for our YouTube channel, which we appreciate the support that we're getting. And the 5th episode, it's really amazing that we're sharing so far, and
We got more amazing guests coming up.
yeah, I'm really blessed to.
Yeah, coming up soon right here on Toon Disney. Yeah, whatever that. Yeah, Toon freaking Disney. Continue on.
For having this
Yes.
possible and get this much episodes as well, which is really crazy. Anyway, so this guest we're having today is okay. This is probably very known, but I'm gonna say this, of course. He's more known by being the host of Brain Search.
He was that, which I mentioned earlier in the episode. Well, Brain Search, which by the way, he also did one of the DVDs that I have for SpongeBob, by the way, and which Tom K and Bill Figurbeck did, and it was better than the ones with You Pick Live. Ugh. I used to love that, but now it's getting a little old. Continue on.
Was the host of the modern version of Figure Out. He was
Figure It Out? Hang on. One moment, folks. You gotta see what I'm doing here, okay? It was hosted by Summer Sanders. And I thought it was her, but no, it was stupid guess. But, you know. Summer Sanders was the host in the original version. So, I thought he was hosting the current version, but no. You know what? Screw this. Continue on.
It was also, hold on, before Brain Surge, also on Nickelodeon, he was a part of You Pick Live.
So lame. Nowadays, continue on.
Yeah, that's a very popular thing that was on Nickelodeon back then.
Which is stupid!
Yeah, we've been on Nickelodeon for a long time.
Yep, and also Chris, and Chris, that you want to get into later, which I know you will, Chris, that he was also a host a show that wasn't really lasted long, which is called 101 Ways to Leave a Game Show.
If you watch this, and yeah, sorry, I'm not really a children's fan, except for Double Dare and other things. If you watch this now remix, just for you and Billy, I don't know what to do now, but that's just me. Continue on.
And I know before himself as a game show host, he was a part of MTV for his entertainment career. That
yeah, MTV Headbangers Bob man. Continue on.
For him being Nickelodeon, and I'm thinking at this stage, he's now in production. He's a part of a show called Wine's Mystery Plated.
Oh, what is that show? I mean, I have no idea what this show is. What is this? He's now as a 20. Ryan. Oh, that I've seen this before. Well, I've never seen the show before. Okay, that it was cute. Continue on.
And here he is. And I have to say this reference. Welcome to Brain Surge. The only game show.
Yeah, Brain Surge. Yeah, I highly recommend not to say that. Continue on.
That's perfect.
That might be the best intro I've had in a long time. I feel like I need to say it again, and I can run out and be like, yeah!
Oh boy. Yeah, at the time, that SpongeBob line, I saw, the only video I saw was the SpongeBob one on DVD, what I got from the whole DVD. It was your Brain Surge Live, I don't know. But this one is not my cup of tea. But this, it currently hosting this one, and I hope he rots in hell now. Continue on.
On the brain train. Oh,
that was a VIP thing. Nothing else got.
You want to know something? All right, so we would shoot. That was a Brain Surge. We would shoot 5 episodes a day when we shot Brain Surge.
Oh, really? Hold on, let me search up real quick. Oh, sorry to be harsh, but really, it's a get it. Okay. Then Michael Frank did this? Okay. I have no words. Continue on.
Hardest part of that show for me was doing everybody's name. Because right at the top, you'd be like, hey, let's meet today's Brainiacs. And I I'd go into it, and what you'd see is like as the camera cut off me to start focusing in on the contestants as I rep,
And yeah, I'm more of an Real Jeopardy type of guy than this. So brain surge, not my cup of tea. Sorry. Continue on.
had cards in my back pocket. I'd pull out the cards that had their names on them, and I'd be like, you know, hey, this guy's from blah blah blah. He loves bike riding.
Yeah.
Walks
I
on
think you have to say it super quickly.
Yeah, and so
Yeah,
I had a short period of
exactly.
time. But one of the things that I am awful, absolutely awful at, is pronouncing people's names. And so I would mispronounce people's names like left and right. And it's also the thing that's most important to me because I want to make sure I'm getting their names right. I mean, it's their name for crying out loud. They're coming out of a TV
Yeah.
show. It's a big moment for them. It's a big moment for me. I'm psyched to have them here, and then I mispronounce their name. So almost every single time I mispronounce someone's name, and they would go, okay, we got to do it again. And so I would go through and do all the pictures. But it was funny. And so in one of the last episodes, God, I think it was like season 2, my good friend Tim, who is a supervising producer on the show, he was like my right-hand man. So he always gave me we would go through everything between every show. Like, here's the puzzles you're going to do, here's the games, here's the story. He'd give me the name, the cards with the contestants' names on them so I could go through them all, and we'd write little jokes and all that stuff. He hands me, literally, they're doing the countdown. I'm backstage, everyone's screaming, the lights are flashing, the announcer is doing the intro that you just gave me. And he goes, there's been a quick change. There's a new family. It was family mixer, so season 3. And he hands me this card with these names that are like a country mile. Like, these names are so long, and I'm just like, and they're like, nah, here's the check up, and I'm reading this stuff, I'm like,
What am I into these days?
and everything, they're in my earpiece. They're like, get out there, Jeff, go, you gotta go, we can't go into overtime. And I'm like, no, there's no way these are real. There's no way. I'm in a sweat at this point. I mean, literally, sweat is pouring down my head. Because I'm so nervous about these new names. And they're like, go, go, go. And I literally just laid down on the floor in the backstage. And I was like, I'm not going out because I want to meet this family. And of course, it was everybody playing a joke on me. They were trying to get me to go out.
I was about to say it's got to be some kind of studio joke or something.
Yeah.
And they were trying to get me to do it and say and stutter and stammer through all these, knowing that was my weak point. But the moral to the story is, I said I'm not going out until I meet this family because I need to see this family. There's no way these names are real. And they finally said, oh, okay, yeah, it's fake. And they gave me the old card back. And then they said action. I ran out there. I nailed it. I said maybe the first time in Brain Surge history, I said everybody's name correctly and nailed it. And they said, we got to go again because I was sweating so bad.
Oh my God.
I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Oh man. So
You guys had famous families on there too. For example, Larry King was on there.
Yeah, Larry
You got a
King
bunch
was
of Nickelodeon stars on there too. So
yeah. Bunch of big time watch. One of them since not
Yeah, big time
star
Big time
are
watch.
into them.
I probably.
They were always fun to have on. And even when we had Larry King on, that was one of those ones where I was like, wow, this is either going to be the best idea of all time or the worst idea of all time because obviously he's not our demographic. But the funny part, he was standing. So I used to stand on the corner of the stage there, and he was like the first podium to my right. And so at the end of round 1, all right, the 4 families are going to move on to round 2. The rest of you are going on the brain drain. Let's find out who they are. I announced family 1, family 2, family 3, and now we have that cliffhanger. Okay, only one more family. 3 families left. Only one more to move on to the second round. Let's find out who it is with X amount of points. It's blank. And so Larry King and his son got eliminated. And I actually heard Larry King say under his breath,
Yeah, the late Larry King, recipes to him. T1.
here for that? That's it? I came all the way down here for that? Like, well, maybe if you answered some questions right, you would be moving on to round 2. But, rest in peace, Larry.
Yeah, if you're watching this, David, recipes for Larry King. Continue on.
Yeah.
Pray.
Mhm.
But,
Yeah.
So, I know the brain search like sets for the season 1 and 2, it were very changed.
Yes.
What was that from that?
Yeah, what was that like?
Um, I think I liked it because for me, every season that I don't care whether it's a show I'm producing or a show I'm hosting. I always feel like you need to like always take it to the next level and make sure
Mhm.
you're always
Right.
doing something bigger and better.
Mhm.
So I think for me, visually, just right out of that, visually changing the scenery was great. It really brought like a completely different look and feel to the show while still keeping the nuts and bolts of the show the same, which is why it was successful. Everyone liked that format in those games. So
Mhm.
Mhm.
it was really really awesome to come in and make it feel bigger and grander. And even going into season 3, we continued to change it up as well.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah, that's really awesome. So, um,
Jake,
so I
you guys
know,
question.
so like, of course. So, I know the brain drain, of course, especially if season 1. 'Cause I know it's all the way down, but like season 2 is changed where you can actually go down and then you high five the audience members.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
changed that I know of. That's changed from every single season.
Yeah. We made the brain drain. The first season of that exit sign right there was the exit sign over top of the brain drain.
Oh my gosh.
That's
Oh wow.
Oh, you got to
That's
keep that.
awesome.
Wow.
Really cool.
Well, I didn't get
Well,
to keep
really
it.
worth it to have it,
Yeah.
nostalgia
Uh,
research for him.
Yeah, the first brain drain was a little shorter and it was like really hard corners. So like you'd go down and be like, wham, it worked pretty bad. So the second season we did make it a little longer and it was smoother turns. Yeah, I went down it pretty much every day after work. So we'd shoot everything.
Because it was fun.
Just for fun.
Yeah, it's just I mean like why wouldn't
It's
you?
like a fun
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Alright.
And
Did anyone ever
and
get
that's-
Really fun.
Did anyone ever get injured going down the brain drain?
Yeah.
No one ever got injured. No. Which is one of the reasons we didn't send Larry King down the brain drain.
Wow.
Yeah, because I saw didn't you like send his
His wife went down.
His
Yeah,
wife went down?
His wife and his kid went down.
I think so. Or I know his son definitely went down. He stayed at the
Yeah.
bottom. Because like I said, the last thing you wanted to do was have Larry King break a hip on your show. So it was,
Yeah.
we wanted to be careful.
Alright,
No one ever got hurt.
hands.
There was, yeah, exactly. No, everyone always stays safe, and that's the big thing. Is like when you're on a Nickelodeon show, whether it's Kids Choice Awards or whatever it is, whenever you're dropping slime is very, very, very slippery. So we always have like a good team of people that make sure that everyone's being safe. So like after you get slimed, don't move because it's so slippery. So then we would have people come in and like lay towels down, then you'd walk across the towels, and then you get to a place where we could kind of clean you up a little bit. So you have kind of like almost like a slime team that deals with the actual slime preparation, the transport, the delivery of it. How you get it, as well, because it gets everywhere. And like I said, when you shoot 5 shows a day, you need to be able to clean everything up and make it look, brand spanking new every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I know the brain drain actually has the like soap or something on
Yeah.
it. So don't open your eyes, kids, because
Because you revealed that in behind the scenes today.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was some sort of like orange type soap too, because like as soon as they start spraying it, everything smelled like oranges, which was great. I love the smell of oranges.
Thank you.
So it had a nice orangey smell. Yeah, and then it would foam up, and then they come flying down it, and we'd the sprayers were really loud though, so we would start it, get it all foamy, and then say, okay, send them down, 1, 2, 3, and then if we have to foam it back up again to send more people, we would.
Yeah.
So
So
since Oh, go ahead, Jake.
Of course, Chris.
So out of all the, since we were talking about a little bit about celebrity guests, like who are some of your favorites that you have?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when we did some WWE superstars, and those guys are always awesome.
Wow, if you watch this, Mr. Trollinator, some of them were left in the WWE to move on to AEW, so yeah. Continue on.
Yeah.
Anthony Anderson, I think, was one of my favorites. He's always a really cool guy. He was on the episode with Larry King. And he's just a big personality and really fun and rolls with punches. So, you know, we had done a few shoots together like Kids Choice or something in the past.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we're best friends or anything like that, but it was like he would remember who I was. I think he came on UPick, and so he would remember who I was. You know, so it was one of those things where there was a little bit of a relationship there that we could play, you know, so it was very playful. And I'm always a big fan of those guests. You know, anyone who comes onto a Nickelodeon show and is just, if you come on a Nickelodeon show, you have to say, I'm up for whatever. I'm ready to have a good time. I'm ready to get messy, and
Yeah, if you're ready for a Nickelodeon show, be on Behind the Music, whatever that was, MTV. So, I'm all in. If not, well, SpongeBob. Whatever, continue on.
hey, anything goes, and that's really kind of how he approached it, which is why he's one of my favorite guests on Brain Surge.
Wow.
Nice.
Especially the voice of SpongeBob and stuff. Tom Kenny was a guest on that too.
Yeah, same here, yeah. I mean, I remember Tom Kenny was, during COVID, did the episode when, special event SpongeBob, at the time of voice actor in SpongeBob. Yeah, it was great. So, not only did SpongeBob, but he also did Gibson, Super Robot Monkey Team High Before Skull from my childhood. So, not only these two, but also, let me check who else he did. The narrator of Powerpuff Girls, and, the City of Townsville. But anyway, what else he have done? There's a lot of stuff he have done, on television. On Voice of a Rose. He did Rocco's Modern Life, Dexter's Laboratory, Johnny Bravo, which I like, Cow and Chicken as one of his characters, I Am Weasel, that one I like, Cat Dog is Dog, and Cliff, Wild Formers in one episode as, Joey. Godzilla the series, I had the DVD version of it as IGEL in '98. He also the mayor of Powerpuff Girls. Okay, that's fine. Short-lived series Magic the Pirate. Dilbert as two of the series as well. Futurama as Yancey Fry. Mitch and Hill as Wally Lanford. What's with Andy as these two characters, which I loved as a kid. On Toon Disney, that is. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, a lot of characters that came to me in my mind. That has various roles in it, you know. I mean, he is also in the Batman's Penguin. Okay, that's good. The Boring Hey Manny. And I don't care about the show. Sorry. Oh, God. He also in Stupid Imagination Movers as Eddie the Monster. Yeah. There's a lot of hard work to read, so I'm Eric T1. There's a lot to read, so the voice roles, blah blah blah. DuckTales as Fairy Duck. And of course these two and Camp Coral, SpongeBob Run the Years, and other things like that. But yeah, huge stuff. Continue on.
Tom Kenny is maybe one of my favorite people of all time. He is,
Yeah.
You're hard pressed to find a nicer guy. He is just absolutely amazing. He is a scary talent, first of all. I mean, he's just really funny and really quick and sharp. But take all of that aside, he's just a really nice person. He always makes time for me. You know, I'll call him or text him and be like, "Hey, I got a question for you," and he's quick to respond. Just he's an awesome guy. The funny story about when he came on Brain Surge.
Yeah.
So we do the episode. He ends up getting slimed with the kid at the end, and we all three of us get messy. And he goes, "That was the first time I ever got slimed." And I was like, "In all your years of Nickelodeon, that was the first time?" He goes, "Yeah." He says, I wish
crazy.
someone." He goes, "I wish someone would have told me. I would have brought a change of clothes." And I'm like, "Wait, hold on. No one told you that there was a possibility we're gonna get messy?" He goes, "No." He's like, "It's totally cool. I'm fine. This is great." And he was loving it. I was like, "All right, well, here, come back to the dressing rooms with me. We got some clothes back here you can take." So we go back there. I talk to the wardrobe person. They're like, "Oh, here's some sweatpants." I'm like, "Hey, do you want a shirt? We can give you, one of these." And he goes, "Oh no, I'm fine. Like I only got, that's fine. I'll just change pants." So he puts on a pair of sweatpants. I'm walking him out into the parking lot to his car, and I'm like, "Hey Tom, thanks for coming. It really means a lot to me." He's like, "Oh no problem. I had a great time." And as he's getting into his car, he goes, "Oh hey Jeff, by the way, who do I get these sweatpants back to?" And I was like, "It's okay, Tom. You can keep the sweatpants. They probably cost us $3 at Target." But
Yeah. Wait, Jeff Bennett? Is he talking about Jeff Bennett or what? Continue on.
that's the kind of guy Tom is. He doesn't take anything for granted. It was one of those things like he was just like, "Hey, I know you were kind enough to give me these sweatpants. I want to make sure they get back to somebody." And I was like, "No, they're all fine."
They've been able to do SpongeBob for so many years since like the late '90s to now.
Yeah.
And he's still doing it. So.
And he did the voice for you guys too.
Oh,
Yeah, my childhood.
He's-
Especially the roles that I mentioned before, besides the one thing I mentioned, Super Robot Monkey Team High Force Go as Gibson, the mayor and narrator, Pop-Up Girls, and others. Continue on.
The guy is a legend.
Mhm.
Like I said, take all of that away, and he is the nicest guy going. And it's funny, like anybody I talk to, like at Nickelodeon, that's worked with him, or anybody that knows him, immediately, the very first words out of anybody's mouth when you talk about Tom Kenny is, "He's the nicest guy in the world." And I think that speaks volumes that everybody says that about him.
Very awesome. So since we're talking about a little bit of Brain Surge, let's just go all the way back. If you know what I
Let's
mean.
do it.
So
Yeah, all the way back to Stupid You Pick Live. Yeah, whatever. Continue on.
how did you start being an actor and a game show host later on? How did all that happen for you?
It's funny, Jake. I never set out to say, "Hey, I'm going to become a game show host." That was never in the cards. It was just one of these things that, through a series of happy accidents, I ended up in front of the camera. So, as Chris mentioned, I started on You Pick Live, and I was a producer on You Pick Live. And when that was starting, they said, "Hey, do you want to, dress up like a superhero and pick kids to give out prizes?" And I was like, "Absolutely."
Oh, yeah. He was a superhero. Okay, that scene on a SpongeBob DVD. But now, it turned out to be catchy. But whatever. Continue on.
Full body leotard. What guy growing up doesn't want to be a superhero? And so I was producing, and then on the show I would play Pick Boy, and it just Pick Boy ended up kind of getting its own rhythm and its own thing, and one thing led to the next, and then a bunch of years later they asked me, "Hey, do you want to come audition for Brain Surge?" And I did 3 auditions for it, and that's kind of how I ended up becoming the host of Brain Surge. And then Brain Surge led to 101 Ways to Leave a Game Show, and then that led to Figure It Out. And it was just one of those things, like I said, it was never, like you said, actor. I don't consider myself an actor. I'm not an actor. I can't act my way out of the paper bag. I'm a host. I do Jeff Sutphen very well, and that's really kind of the strength and what I positioned my career on, which was, when people would ask me like, hey, what can we expect with you as a host? I was like, you can expect this. The conversation we're having now is us. This is me. This is how I host. I don't put on anything different. I don't know how to be an actor. I know how to be Jeff. So that's what you get, and that's kind of really what I built my career on.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So Chris, I know there's a question you wanted to say, or a couple things you want to say to Jeff before we even started.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was telling these guys about it earlier. I remember, like, when Brain Search had just started, I wanted to be on it so badly, but I think at the time I was too young. I think I probably was only 8 or 9 at the time. Yeah. I remember going on the Nick website and they had something like, or if you wanted to be on Brain Search, click here.
I grew up watching Double Dare and Mark Summers, and I felt the same.
Yeah, that too, which is amazing. Continue on.
Like, I'd watch Double Dare and go, oh man, I would kill to be on the show. I'd love to be on the show. So I get it, and it's funny. Like, even a few years back, I went to get ice cream at a local ice cream place here, and I walked in, I ordered like a milkshake or something, and the kid behind the counter ringing me up goes, hey, what are you, the host of Brain Surge? I was like, yeah. And he like pulls out his phone, he like looks at me, he goes, hey, look, and he was a contestant on Brain Surge, and it was like, oh my gosh, like that's crazy, So like running in years later, running into contestants, it was like this stuff, talking to you guys is awesome because it's like, I get to, actually communicate and chat with, fans, and you guys grew up watching the stuff I was doing, which, I was having a fun time doing it, but, being able to talk to you guys and that's what's awesome for me.
Yeah. And you actually had a contestant in Later Round, a non-successful show, wasn't that right, Chris? Make It Pop?
Make It Pop?
Megan?
Oh, Megan,
Pop
yeah.
One of
the contestants, I think it might have been on like one of the first few episodes, went on to like actually star in the Nickelodeon show later on.
I didn't know that.
It was called Make It Pop.
So that was on Nick?
Yeah.
Yep.
Huh. I'll have to look that up.
Wow. Were any of your game shows filmed at the Nickelodeon Studios and Universal Studios, or were none of your game shows filmed there?
No. By the time I was shooting my game shows, Nick Orlando had closed. However, when we were
Yeah. I agree. Continue on.
We're doing You Pick Live, we would go down to Nick Orlando a few times because Slime Time Live was shooting at the same time, so we would go down and do like crossover specials and stuff. So I had shot at Nick Orlando before they closed it, and then when I did My Family's Got Guts, which I was a producer on, that was fun. And they had we shot in Universal Orlando, but like at that, the old Nick Studios were closed. So I have spent my time in Orlando. Not as much as some of the old Nick cast, but yeah, we did Brain Surge. We shot on what was called at the time Hollywood Center Studios, which is now Sunset Las Palmas. And then Figure It Out, we shot on the Paramount lot, which was awesome.
The sets are there, or is it gone?
The sets are gone. No, they in between seasons they'll hold all the set stuff in storage, and then when it's decided that the show isn't coming back, they ditch it. They get rid of all of it.
They destroy it?
Wow. Yeah, which is how I ended up with this Figure It Out podium. So this was the podium that Elle, our announcer, would use. Because I was behind the desk with the contestant and she was across the stage. This was her podium. So it was funny. I was after we shot the second season of Figure It Out. Some time had passed, and one of my buddies who manages all the stages and shows at Nick, he calls me up. We're good friends, and he says, "Hey, we're about to get rid of everything from the Figure It Out set. You want anything?" And I was like, "Huh?" And he goes, "Oh, no one called to tell you the show's been canceled, have they?" And I was like, "No." And he goes, "Oh, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but the show's been canceled. Do you want anything from the show?" So I was like, yeah. So I ended up what I originally had was, I don't know if you remember, the Figured Out set had those giant arrows, those big huge arrows. So I had one of those, and so my neighbor came over, and those things weighed a ton because it was all steel piping that was welded together with lucite, and and then it was backlit with all the lights. And so I had a neighbor come over, and we were cutting it down to make it lighter, and we were rewiring it all so we could plug it in and it would glow. And we'd spent the whole afternoon doing it, and we're literally hanging it up on my ceiling in the garage. As my wife walks out the door and goes, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh,
Wow.
I got this from the set. Figure it out." She goes, "No, that's not safe. I don't want it in here." So I had to give it away. And then she went and talked to my friend and got me the Figure It Out podium because she felt bad.
So where'd you give it away to? Do you know?
Yes, a good friend of mine. His name is Bob Bowden. He is referred to around the business as Game Show Bob because he knows everything about game shows and he's worked on
which I'm a huge fan of game shows, by the way. Continue on.
just about every game show you can possibly imagine. And he has a collection of game show memorabilia. So I called that into it. It was. I said, "Hey, Bob, I got this thing." And before I could hang up the call, he pulled his car around and we were loading it in his trunk. But he's got like a whole museum of game show stuff from like Price is Right, Wheel of Fortune. I mean, you name.
Which I'm a huge fan of. If you watch this, Alex Paris, it's for you. Continue on.
In the game show, he's got something from it. So
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah. So, how's your experience for being a part of like being in MTV for your early days, well before you're on Nickelodeon?
good. For me, I knew from a young age that I wanted to work in TV. So I started, in going to college. I took television classes and I learned everything. And so I actually came out of school, and I thought I was going to be an editor. That was what I wanted to do. I loved editing. I was editing all my own stuff in college. And
Oh,
I really
good. You need to edit. Continue on.
enjoyed that creation of putting everything together. So I started at VH1. I got a job at VH1.
Wow, VH1. Okay. Behind the music. Continue on.
And I was working just as a PA on a show, and that kind of one thing led to another. I kept kind of jumped around at the MTV networks on a few different VH1 projects. Worked in on-air graphics for quite a while. Then I left the company, came back, did an MTV show. That finished up, and that's when I ended up at Nickelodeon. MTV, VH1, Nickelodeon, it's all under MTV Networks by Viacom umbrella. So you kind of just jump around.
I didn't know about
Yeah, now known as Paramount Plus. Continue on.
was connected to MTV.
Yeah,
Me too.
yeah, they own Comedy Central, BET, MTV, VH1, Nickelodeon, a bunch of other networks, Spike.
Which is now known as Paramount Network.
Yeah, so that was always my thing. I loved the the producerial side of things, and that was what I was doing. That's why I say like the on camera thing was a happy accident. I always loved doing that, but it was for me. I kind of looked at it as going the hosting side, the on camera side is so hard. For that one job in front of the camera, there's 70 jobs behind the camera, and I'm more apt to get one of those 70 than I am to get that one.
Wow.
So I always kind of put all my eggs in the production basket. And when I started getting hosting jobs, I kind of shifted my focus a little to just go, okay, I'll put more energy into, now that I have some momentum, I'll put the energy into trying to find some hosting jobs. And even when I was hosting, I was still producing stuff on the side. You know, as Brain Surge, I was a producer on Brain Surge as well. And even in between shows, I'd pick up little production gigs to, you know, keep the muscles in shape, so to speak.
Okay.
So, I know a question that you wanted to say to Jeff as well, Chris, about a game show.
Oh yeah. So we talked a little bit about it earlier. What was it like working on 101 Ways to Leave a Game Show?
Dude, working on 101 Ways to Leave a Game Show was fantastic. It was like a once in a lifetime experience. So all the producers from that were all the same team that put together Fear Factor back in the day, and they did Wipeout. So it was
Wipeout. Okay. Watch. Yeah, it was a other game show for days. I'm not sure what year this came out, but it was but that event nowadays was a 2008-2020 game show. Watch this, David. Let me check what year Wipeout came out. No, I'm not talking about the revival. This is a the TBS version, but this is it's 1988. Yeah, I was right about the 80s one. It was hosted by the late Peter Tamarkin. But yeah. But then but the revival version 2021 is by TBS, and that came out April Fool's Day 2021. It was created by the same people who brought you Wipeout this year. It came out in 2008. So yeah, it was created by Mike Kant and things like that, and yeah, and it was hosted by John Anderson, John Henson, and by the way, we check John Henson. Yeah, it was good. Joe Weiner and Vanessa Backy, and yeah, it was good. So yeah, the revival version, however, was hosted by none other than, and his name is John Cena! Okay. And Nicole Breyer and Camille Kozak. But yeah. Overall, it was great. Continue on.
So these guys are really good at what they do, and I felt like I was being welcomed into their party because, like I said, it's all the same guys. Camera guys, audio guys, producers. Like, it's literally, we would shoot 101 Ways to Leave a Game show on Mondays and Tuesdays, and then Wednesday and Thursday they would be on the Wipeout set, and then Friday, so it was one of these things. That's so cool. They would flip-flop back and forth, and they are so good at what they do, and it was awesome to be part of that experience. I learned a ton, and it was just, honestly, like, showing up to the office was, every day I was like, oh, what are we going to do today? Oh, we're going to blow up a truck while sending it over a cliff.
Wow.
I don't know how you're going to, I don't know how you're going to do it, but I'm sure it's
a lot of crazy stuff going on.
It was an amazing show, and for all those same people for that one review of the show, that is so awesome.
Yeah,
wow.
It was really cool, and honestly, in full disclosure, I'm not sure I've ever shared too much of it, but like, there's, people would always ask me like, hey, do you get nervous, or did you ever get nervous? And my answer was always no. It was, especially like doing You Pick Live, it was like, we do that every day.
Yeah, which is meh. Continue on.
My feeling on it was like, oh man, if I screw up today, I can always do it again tomorrow. And with doing Brain Surge and Figure It Out, like, I never was nervous because I was just like, oh, I'm just having fun. And as long as I knew the show, I knew I could get us through it. 101 Ways was the only time in my career where I got nervous. And I remember standing there, like, on the first day, and I looked around, and I was like, all right, there's a monster truck over there. I'm standing on the dock. There's a lake behind me.
Oh dear.
There's a jet boat out there, and there's 2 helicopters that
Wow.
are circling to get like helicopter shots.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh man, this is a lot bigger than anything I've ever done in my life. Like this is huge. And I'm looking around going, holy crap, all of this is on my shoulders.
Yeah. He said crap during Jake's having the Stout show. Yeah, I agree. Continue on.
And where I never thought about that before. I always would just like walk in and be like, hey, welcome to the show. Here we go. Brain drain. Blah, blah, blah. It's fine. And now all of a sudden it was like, oh man, there's millions of dollars riding on this. And I was like, oh, man, I hope I don't screw this up. And again, like all the people around me, they all knew each other. They all knew each other.
And they all knew what they were doing.
And they all knew what they were doing. And not that I didn't know what I was doing, but it was one of those things where.
But you were out of your comfort zone a little bit, probably.
Yeah, it was the first time I was doing like something big, and it was network prime time hour-long format, and it was like, holy mackerel, they're taking a big risk on me, and they're putting a lot on my shoulders. And then the executive producer came up to me, he puts his hand on my shoulder. And this is right before we're about to take the first shot. He puts his hand on my shoulder, and he just looks me square in the eye and goes, hey, don't f*** this up. I got a lot riding.
Yeah, very discretion advised, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, don't fuck yourselves. Continue on.
That wasn't the pep talk I needed at that moment.
Right.
So, he walked away, but it was one of those things, the stage manager started counting me in. He's like, 3, 2, and as soon as he pointed to me, everything went away. And I was like, I had to remember, like, as he was counting me in, I was like, pull yourself together. They hired you because of what you do. Trust your instincts and be yourself. And that's what, again, as I mentioned, that's how I built my career, was being myself. So I was like, don't overthink this. As soon as they say go, do what you would normally do. And so that was it. So for like a good 2 minutes, I was like, oh boy. This is big. I'm out of my league. I'm gonna get figured out that I'm a fake. And as soon as I said action, I was like, hey, here we go. Everyone, how you doing? Blah 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 blah. And it was fine. And it's disappointing that we only did the 6 episodes. I really do believe that if we got picked up for another 6 episodes to finish out, like a back end of the season type thing, I do believe that show would have found its audience. And it really would have connected, and we would have.
You know why it was canceled after such a short runtime?
Yeah. So it was brought on. It was ordered as a mid-season replacement. They said, "Hey, we're going to do 6 episodes, and if it does well, we'll obviously pick up more and do back, some more into the fall." It was at the time it pretty much did exactly what ABC wanted it to do. It didn't rate like really high. And it didn't rate really low. It rated right down the middle of the road, which is, when we asked them, like, hey, before this airs, what are your expectations? They were like, hey, we think, if it can be here, great. Anything above that's bonus. We don't want it to be below. And it did. It did exactly right down the middle. And then they got to a point where they had to make decisions of, like, what shows to bring back and what shows, hey, we're going to move forward on.
Well, it was probably it was probably very costly, too.
Well, and that was a big part of it. They looked at it and said, "Hey, for the price point and the ratings, they aren't necessarily matching up for us." And we were going to go in and pitch, what a second run would look like in terms of like, hey, here are some new challenges, games, and ways we can bring costs down and elevate. But at that point, they had made their decision. Now, the sad thing is the following summer, I went into ABC and was talking to some of the executives, and I was pitching them another show.
Wow, okay. Continue on.
And the executive said to me, she says, oh, man, I really wish, because that following summer, they got killed in the ratings.
Jeez, man! Continue on.
And they said, man, if we knew what the ratings were going to be this summer, we wouldn't have never canceled 101 Ways to Leave a Game Show. We would, because that would have killed in the ratings for us. Which is sad, to hear that, like, hey, it could have, just firmly confirms for me that had we hung on for a little bit longer,
it would have been more successful. And maybe even gotten a second, and maybe even gotten past it after the first season, gotten a second season. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could have been like a really long running show too.
But
I like Brain Surge too.
Yeah, exactly. I'm grateful for it. I got. Hold on, I'll show you this. This was. Oh God.
You can also show them the figure of that podium too, since you mentioned it so much. Too.
This was the trigger from the tower at 101 Ways. Remember?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Drop people off. So this is the actual.
how were you able to get that?
The tower is in my backyard. So.
Oh,
Wow.
it is?
Oh
No,
wow.
That'd be so funny.
They told me I could get the souvenir, and I got got the tower.
Like someone just driving by
Yeah.
and see this like big sound of thing.
Can we play on that?
Me dropping people off it like boom, boom.
I mean,
Yeah.
you could get some. You could like charge people to do that. Just like it's like an amusement park ride.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we got, like I said, I got a few things back here. Those are some of the 101, banners and stickers there. That's
Wow.
That's the Brain Surge. Yeah, this was the figured out sign that was hanging like backstage where we would do like little online stuff. This
Wow.
is a piece from Kids Choice 2011.
Yeah, which is good. Yeah, except for the 2012 one. Yeah. I record most of the 2012 one. Now it's going to be lame. Continue on.
Yeah, I got 2010, 2012.
Yeah, which is stupid.
These, we're talking Kids Choice. These are all the badges for all the years I did Kids Choice. So, like, there's, all the way back to 2003.
There's Pick Boy from You Pick Live.
Actually, to what?
Yeah.
Pick Boy for president. That was.
Yeah, more like George W. Bush for president. Whatever. Continue on.
Yeah, but what was the last batch? I know it's your first one. All the way was 2003. And what was the last all the way bomb?
Oh, like Kids Choice?
Yeah.
I did 2003, and the last one there is 2017.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think like all told, I would do the pre-show.
Yeah.
The backstage show and the post-show. I think I did the pre-show.
So much.
11 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did it 10 years straight. Then they took a year off from me and brought me back for a 12th and I think 11th and 12th. I did two.
Yeah, thank God you were off 11 and 12, because 12 is stupid nowadays. Continue on.
After, so I think I did a total of 12 years of Kids' Choice Awards.
Wow, that's really awesome. Kids Choice Award. Kids Choice Award is one of the things that I really liked.
Yes, I've been watching it ever since I was a little kid.
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces of that. I never get a chance to do it. I record Kids' Choice Awards 2012. Nowadays it's just catchy, but it's meh. Because at the time, in 2020's Kids' Choice Awards, it was hosted by Kenan Thompson. I don't get a chance to watch it, and thank God I didn't record it. Because at the time, I was not a huge fan of Kids' Choice Awards nowadays. But at times like this, I was a huge fan of movie and TV show type of things nowadays. That's just me. That's just me. Continue on.
Yeah.
Kids' Choice for me was awesome. I loved it. I'm not just.
Oh, and they should have put down Disney Channel instead of Nickelodeon for some reasons. Continue on.
Saying that because I'm here, on your show. It was always a highlight of the year for me as an adult. I was like, oh, I can't wait.
Oh, in 2021, hang on, Jeff. In 2021, they just did a football game for Nickelodeon, which is good. Continue on.
For Kids' Choice, it was so much fun. It was so crazy.
And it's still going to this day.
Oh, and speaking of football games, Disney Channel, Freeform, and other movie channels, Kids Channels air a football game. That was a good idea. Continue on.
Yeah. They do a great job with it, and it's one of those things that I'm like, I couldn't imagine being a kid I'm this excited about it. I couldn't imagine being a kid going to Kids Choice Awards because it would just be like sensory overload and like your head was gonna explode.
And even with the pandemic, they've found pretty good ways to kind of make
and also as well how long Kids Choice Awards been through like since the first year that happened, which is weird. Probably is a while ago.
Yeah.
And SpongeBob's won a lot.
Oh yeah, SpongeBob.
a lot.
SpongeBob won so much.
Oh, one. I think it only lost 1 year, and I think it lost to Avatar. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Man,
thanks.
drop in the Nickelodeon knowledge.
Yeah, I know. Because I was looking up for something. I forgot what it was, but I was looking up for something. I probably expected if it was gonna lose something, it'd probably be Avatar because Avatar was really popular. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that goes to show that SpongeBob is literally probably the most popular Nickelodeon shows ever.
It's like basically the face of Nickelodeon.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm kind of wondering what Nickelodeon would be without SpongeBob. Without Tom.
Yeah, I agree. Big time. Continue on.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's been a rock solid show for all those years.
Especially more generations to come for SpongeBob. And I know recently that SpongeBob are having the like a sequel that's kind of like related to Patrick or something.
Yeah, Patrick Star Show. They also did Camp Coral. Continue on.
Yeah, my daughter was telling me that the other day. She's like, "Hey, did you know that Patrick is getting his own show?" And I said, "No, I didn't. I'll have to call him and get to the bottom of this."
Just call him Bill Favreau from Foggy or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember watching them. Of course, Brainstorm and SpongeBob is so much of shows for us.
Yeah.
Of course, him
Same
and
Carl.
three of us too. Oh, the three of you too. So, okay, this is kind of an interesting question for mostly for Brainstorm fans. Well, of course, Chris and me too as well. I know there was going to be a pilot for Brainstorm, but that was never like aired. Because wasn't it like it was? I feel like according to the Brainstorm theme song, it showed like a clip of not the last round, and I feel like it was a different host or something that was on there.
There was. It's actually. Do you guys remember Team Nick with Jay Boogie?
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, continue on.
So Jay Boogie, who's a good friend of mine, Jay Boogie hosted the Brain Search pilot.
So
So he did the pilot, and then when it went to series, they auditioned. Like I said, I did 3 auditions.
So that's like the pilot where they like test stuff and then
probably that's why it was
series,
never
like
aired.
greenlit, right?
Yeah, so the way a pilot works is if a network or someone's unsure if it's a concept that's going to work, but they like it, but they're just unsure if it's worth spending a ton of money on and going straight to series, they'll order 1 episode, and that's a pilot, and that's for they're like, here's a little bit of money to put together a pilot to show us that the game works, that the concept works, and in doing that, then they usually take that and test it with kids and have focus groups, and then they get the kids' input, and then if the kids really like it, that obviously helps Nickelodeon or whatever network it is.
Chris our fans too. Brainstorm.
Exactly. Yeah, we did. We did
one of the most enjoyable Nickelodeon shows.
Yeah.
Game shows specifically.
It's funny. I always get asked, like, "Hey, what happened to Brain Surge? Are they going to bring it back? Is there going to be another season?" And I always just tell people we locked the keys in the studio, and no one had a spare, so we can't get back in. The brain drain's still running. So,
would you be down for a Brain Surge revival if they asked you to come back for it?
they wouldn't even have to finish the sentence. I'd be like, I'm in. I would
Wow.
love to do that.
I really enjoyed the show.
I would do that show again in a heartbeat. It was awesome. It's super fun. I feel like I'm in mid-season form right now. I feel like I could tee it up real quick. Give me a few hours to knock the rust off. But
or make it like a redemption one with the people who didn't make it.
Exactly, that would be fun. Just go and get them all and tee them all back up again.
Yeah. So, what is your favorite thing to do for Brain Surge? Cause I feel like you really like all the grounds for it.
Yeah, let's see.
Especially the brain drain for sure.
Yeah, I really, the round one was really fun, because it was all the puzzles. So I helped make a lot of those puzzles, and so watching kids, like seeing what they would get right and what they would get wrong was super awesome. I did not particularly care for round two when I'd read the story from Just Big Book, Super Fantastic, True Chronicles of Truth Are Absolutely True. In season one, I would read the story live. And so I would have the story taped into the book, so I would open the book and I would read it live. In seasons 2 and 3, I would pre-record it because those became animated. And so I would have to record all the voices and stuff like that for that. But I do not, actually, I hate reading out loud. And so I get super nervous, and it's like, and so whenever we got to that part in season 1, I was like, oh God, I hate this part because I got to read out loud. I hated reading out loud when I was a kid in class. I hate reading out loud to my kids now when I'm reading them a book. I just don't like reading out loud. And I know that seems weird for a person who's a TV host. And people always ask me, like, well, how could you be in this business? I was like, I don't mind public speaking. I love public speaking. I will stand in front of anybody all day long who will listen to me blabber on. But when it comes to actually reading, I just don't like to do it out loud. So that was always a hard part for me. I think my favorite part, though, to answer your question, Jake, is the third, where we had the 4x4 floor, the 5x5, the 6x6.
Yeah.
That was awesome because
especially getting slimed when they
exactly, and it was just one of those things that that felt new and different every single time because it was a different pattern, it was something new. And it's funny because when you guys watched on TV, you're watching it from that high and wide jib shot. When you're and so you're like, oh, how could you mess that up? It's easy. It's right, left, straight, right, left.
because
Man.
moments too when we're watching.
Yeah, of course. And but like the thing is when you are standing on the floor and it goes out away from you, it's a completely different view. And so you're kind of going like, oh, God, check, over. And so now it does get a little more tricky. But I love that. And it's cool. Here's a little insider baseball for you. The floor, you know how it would expand out to a 5x5 and then a 6x6?
Right.
All that was they had behind the screen was like 3 guys and they all would push the floor.
Wow, okay.
Further. And they literally had like spot on the ground because they're in the dark. So they didn't know, what it looked like out there. So they would just push until they got to that spot and like stop it. And then they would go and push again and stop it. So like it looks on stage like this whole thing's like, mechanical expanding. There was just 3 guys pushing the floor out.
I don't know what
sorry to shatter your childhood dreams.
Wow.
The magic is ruined, Jeff.
Yeah, especially the second round. Where Jeff's big board, that's absolutely 100% absolutely
Positively true.
yeah, positively true.
Yeah.
I know it's definitely a joke. I know that's definitely a joke.
There you go.
Wow.
There you go, that's another one for you.
Yeah, there you go. That's my story. It's all true.
Yeah, that's true indeed.
That was the one thing, as I said, I've collected all these things. That was the one thing I wanted to take from Brain Surge was Just Big Book of Super Fantastic True Chronicles of Truth That Are Absolutely True. However, the executive producer of the show, Scott, still has it. He has it in his office. I have tried on many of occasions when I'd go to his office, I'd be like, hey, can I just steal this? Or like, hey, why don't you look over there? And I'd be like, because that's the one thing that I really wanted. But I don't have it. Just the memories.
Because he's still a member. Like he's still a member, and he has still. But hopefully he can like show it to you. As just
yes. He told me I can come visit at any time, but like I said,
You can't take it.
exactly.
And they're not
maybe he
also.
can just show it at least.
Maybe one
Yeah,
day.
dodgy reasons.
The knockout rounds are also cool.
Knockout
Knockout
rounds,
rounds, yes.
yeah, and that was always one thing. I think this is what you're gonna ask, Chris. What happens if they ran the board? Was that what you were gonna ask?
No, I was gonna ask if like Brain Surge were to like come back, like would you like to see any like changes, like anything new, like any new levels?
Yeah.
I think here's my thing. I think for the show to come back, it should the contestants should be like you guys and your age. You know,
Wow.
the kids who grew up on let's bring, you know, the age group that grew up on it. Let's have them be contestants, so then we can age it up. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
crazy.
Yeah, still.
I would keep the same bones to the show.
You had to be at least 18. Yeah, I agree with that. Continue on.
You know, like start off with the visual puzzles where you're going to see everything, then you just have to answer
You
questions.
still have celebs, like Nickelodeon. Celebs.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, we could if it's on Nickelodeon. Why not? You know, but I think it's one of those things that. Yeah, let's put it on
Carly's
Paramount
now
Plus.
on there.
Yeah, with Survival on Paramount Plus now. Continue on.
I mean, they're bringing everything back, and yet I'm still sitting in my garage with my trigger, waiting to go.
Yep.
And hopefully if they make
With your tower.
Yep. Still.
Tower.
And who knows, maybe if they make a more grown-up version, maybe combine like the elements of 101 Ways to Leave a Game Show with Brain Surge.
That'd be awesome.
Wow.
Ready.
Here,
Don't you for being part of those shows.
I'll dress up in my Pick Boy costume.
Yes.
We'll have a combination of 101 Ways, Brain Surge, and Figure It Out all into one show.
That would be
It'll-
perfect.
On applause
It'll
for
be
that.
That would be
Wow. Okay.
You guys will be the
You still have it.
And then put on the mask from Pick Boy.
You still have that costume.
I got that right over there, hiding in the
Okay.
corner.
Do you
Oh,
have a
that's
Pick Boy
awesome.
costume
Wow.
or no?
I do. I actually have. I think I have like pieces because it changed over the years.
Yeah,
So I
that's
think
the
I
high
have
age
like, I think I have one from like every iteration, folded up, packed into a box, and stuffed into the back of the closet. But if duty calls, I'll
Like Superman.
I'll get out of it.
Bring it
Yeah.
back.
Boy will come.
I gotta get out. If someone needs help picking their groceries up, I'm gonna
Wow.
do it. If someone
I
needs
know the
help picking
costume.
bingo balls, I'm gonna do it.
Wow.
Me, 14.
Yeah. I know the costume that I was for the shows changed because probably how old that I was. Or something.
Yeah, it didn't change. It didn't change drastically. The colors were always the same. The only things that really changed was like the P on the chest changed depending on like the font of the show. Like when they changed the show logo,
And
it
how
would
loud.
change.
Okay.
Yeah, so it would always match. Excuse me, I just burped right in all of your faces.
Wow.
So like that changed, and then like over like in later years, like when we first started, no one knew what Pick Boy was going to be. It was just going to kind of be like, whatever, we'll do this, and so I was pretty much wearing like glorified pajamas.
Heresy.
Yeah,
Wow.
and
Glorified
then
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, and then towards at the end we actually had like a really nice one made that was made by like some really awesome costume designers that would do like Superman costumes for the movies and stuff like that. But
Wow,
like,
okay.
the last one, the cape was like super heavy and it all strapped it like it didn't just like clip around your neck. It was a whole like it was a whole harness that I had to wear, and then the costume went over the harness, so it looks like it comes up from like underneath the collar. And that thing, like, it's, you ever see someone who breaks their collarbone and they have to wear that crazy thing? that
Wow.
keeps them like this.
Yeah.
Like that's what it looked like. It was this whole big thing that like went down and like clipped around underneath, and it kept you like, oh my gosh, this thing's incredibly uncomfortable. And then the cape was so long, it came down to like
Did you ever like
my
step on it?
ankles. No, it never went down to the ground.
Okay.
The most recent one is probably about that high off the ground, but it's just the fabric they used is awesome, but it's really heavy, and so like at the end of the day of wearing that thing, you're like, oh my god.
You're like, did your back hurt after?
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah, it would, because like I said, you'd have this thing on that was like kind of putting your forcing a certain posture, and then you're carrying all that weight,
Yeah.
and then you got everything on top of it, and then usually too, they're clipping microphones and earpieces, and you're all wired up. So
Yeah.
God help you if you had to go to the bathroom, because that wasn't happening.
Oh my gosh.
It's very. It's not the best.
These are things that none of you think about. These are things that plague me as a part-time superhero. I have to be aware. I have to know where's my nearest bathroom and how quickly can I get there.
Wasn't it? Okay, you can correct us on this. Wasn't he supposed to have a sidekick? Because I saw something that he was, or something. Like some kid was supposed to be a sidekick for the next thing.
Yes, so we did a sweepstakes.
That's what I'm
Pick
talking
Boy's sidekick for the day. Yeah, it was in probably like 2003, I think.
Yeah.
You could enter a sweepstakes during Fairly Odd Parents' Big Superhero Wish Sweepstakes.
Which I'm not. I haven't entered, and I couldn't be able to win this, but sorry. Continue on.
Yeah.
And a little girl from Florida won, and she got to come to New York and be on You Pick Live as Pick Boy's side pick
Hit girl.
for the day. And she.
My kid reminds me of Henry Danger.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is I talk to every once in a while. I'll talk to Cooper Barnes, who plays Captain Man.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
And I'm like,
that's cool.
Like,
That's awesome.
hey, let's set the record straight, buddy.
I was the original.
I was there before you.
And what does he say?
No, he's good. It's fun.
I because Henry Danger started before that show even still happened.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's why.
Yeah.
That's why you said it to him in the first place.
I'd be like, hey, look, I've spent my time in, Cape and Tights on the network. I know all too well. And so we'll share war stories here and there. But, yeah.
And he's still doing it today because he's on Danger Force, so.
Yeah, no,
He's
another guy that's just like super awesome, really cool guy.
Yeah.
And it's always cool to be able to meet people that are like that.
Yeah.
I can imagine like if Brain Search was still around and you guys did like another Nickelodeon Stars episode, like if he was like
Or Bradley's Brain Search.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, look, I'll bring Captain Man on. I'll work him like a rented
In the
mule.
Captain Man costume.
Or maybe Kid Danger.
And then you have to wear your Pick Boy costume.
I agree, Jakey. Bring
And then have Pick Boy versus Captain Man.
And Kid Danger.
Yeah,
The two
that would be
Pick Boy versus the two of them.
I think we know who would win that.
No, or Pick Boy versus the Toddler. That'd be funny.
Yeah.
Versus who?
The Toddler is a villain.
Tyler versus Kid Danger, Captain Man, or the two sidekicks of your show, and versus Captain Man and Kid Danger. I'm so glad we just talking about Henry Danger because Henry Danger is such a nostalgic show for most of us that grew up with the show. So, isn't it like the pilot for the show that's really? It's kind of like the same. The only thing is just tested for the whole to see what the series was going to be, what they're sure about, and the different hosts that was originally just for the pilot.
No, sometimes things change. Like you what works well on paper when you actually shoot it, all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, that's flawed and that needs to change. Even when I shot the first episode of Brain Surge, there was a section in the show that after we shot the first episode, we're like, that whole section doesn't work. Get rid of it.
Wow.
And we cut that out, and that episode was never seen. So it's you learn a lot. That's another big part of it for the production when you're doing a pilot is you learn what works, what doesn't. Oh, that feels clunky. Wow, that really works. Let's do more of that. And so it's a good learning experience for everybody.
Yeah. So how does it feel? Since I know since you mentioned this, how does it feel? I'm not trying to make this a little awkward. Well, I can say it right now. How does it feel for being a actual dad?
Yeah.
I love it. It's there's nothing I've ever worked harder at in my life than being a dad. It's
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's thank you. It's the thing that I'm most proud of too. I mean, I've been very fortunate in my career and life to have some amazing experiences, but having my kids and being a dad is fantastic. It's a way for me to stay immature and young, and it's great that I get to continue doing the Nickelodeon stuff for them because they get to see what I do, and they get to come to work with me, and they get to see like, oh, that I like doing what I do, and work doesn't have to be.
That dad works at Nickelodeon, and he's the cool dad.
Yeah, and you know, like my daughter was born right when we started season 2 of Brain Surge, so she doesn't really remember any of Brain Surge. She vaguely remembers Figure It Out. So you know, she discovered me while Googling my name. It was like, oh my gosh, look at all this stuff you did. You know, so she's like, she started watching like old episodes of Brain Surge and stuff like that. Yeah. So like that was cool. Like I never said, here, sit down and watch this. Hey, I did this. I never showed her. You know, my son Morgan is like 7 now.
Wow, my brother's name is actually Morgan as well. Continue on.
I think he's aware that I've done stuff. I don't think he's ever watched anything that I've done, but he knows, you know, hey, I work on Nickelodeon, and that's, you know, it gets me cool dad points for sure.
Yeah. They didn't put it on Paramount Plus. I mean, they have the other stuff on.
Yeah, same thing. Continue on.
Yeah, hopefully we get to see, you know, something like Brain Surge on Paramount Plus.
Or You Pick.
Yeah, those two are stupid. Continue on.
Yeah, You Pick.
Yeah.
So I'm down. I'm ready. I'm down. I'm up for anything. If someone wants to give me a mic and a room full of people that'll tolerate my voice.
Heck, they could bring it back. Or bring back Legends of the Hidden Temple, but also why not bring back Brain Surge?
Yeah, it's the same team. Scott, who's the creator producer of Legends of the Hidden Temple, is also one of the creators producers of Brain Surge. So, yep. There you go.
Yep. So
they made a movie of that. Make a Brain Surge. Come on.
Brain Surge the movie.
Yeah. They did.
Oh my god!
Stop being Brain Surge thing.
At the same time, I don't know what would be good.
I don't think it works as well as Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yeah. To be honest.
Like maybe
I gotta agree with Matt.
Yeah.
Like maybe how like if it were to be a movie, like maybe the plot would be like Jeff runs out of slime, so he has to go like some like
grand adventure,
crazy location to get like the stuff to make more slime.
And I've got to solve real life puzzles along the way to collect everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
While avoiding going down the brain drain every step of the way.
Yeah.
Just make one step and you put on the brain drain.
And the fun and choose getting you out of there.
Yep.
It writes itself.
How does it feel for right now that you're working on with Ryan's Mystery Playdate?
It's great. I love Ryan.
Which is good. Continue on.
His Mystery Playdate. I love working for Nickelodeon. It's me using my immaturity to everybody else's advantage.
Yep.
Yeah, and so it's I have had an awesome time working at Nickelodeon for all these years, and as long as they want to have me around, I'm more than happy to continue infecting the youth with my sense of humor. And working with Ryan and his family is fantastic, and everyone, you know, Pocket Watch is the production company that I work for, and those guys are fantastic. And they, you know, I really give credit to I think my entire team. You know, I think my biggest contribution to that show is that I hire a bunch of people who are smarter and better than me. So we get to do a lot of really fun things, and Ryan is great, and his family is fantastic, and they just come every day ready to play. And that's a lot of what I get to work with Phil. A lot of the stuff that I learned and did on like You Pick and Brain Surge and Figure It Out.
Wow.
I take all the little pieces from all my other shows and say like, oh, I like how we did this, or I really like working with this person, or I like the way we put this together, and I bring all that together, and that's how we put together Ryan's Mystery Playdate. And I think if you watch Ryan's Mystery Playdate, it's a Nick Jr. show, so I can't imagine any of you are watching it, but if you did, you would look at it and go,
yeah, me too.
I think you'll look at it. Yeah, and especially in the season 4, we started doing a bunch of puzzles where Ryan plays visual puzzles. These are all straight rip-offs from Brain Surge puzzles. Me and my buddy Tim sat down. We're like, okay, let's have Ryan do puzzles. What kind of puzzles? Well, let's do the Brain Surge puzzles. And so we'll just rework them and put them all in. So you guys, like I said, you'll go through it. You'll watch people who know me and know the show go, oh, that's very much your sense of humor. Oh, that's very much like I can see you in the show. So it's a chance, like, I'm not on camera, but it's a chance for me to still do all the things that I would want to do. I just make other people do them. I'm like, hey, Ryan, say this. And he's like, I don't get it. I'm like, just say it. It'll be funny.
Right, like you get to do all the stuff that you've done for years, but, you know, in a slightly different way.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So,
We work for littler kids.
exactly.
Yeah,
And, hey,
once
look,
younger
that's
comes
what you,
out,
Especially like for your family too, because you know how much you have kids, you know.
Yeah, you can have them on.
well, that's
Hope your families
that's
do it. Hope your
perfect.
families do it well, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. They're doing great, and that's been the nice thing
That's
about
awesome.
you know
You're welcome.
doing Ryan's as well is that you know
And
my
that's
son
also like
was
that, like your real life
Yeah.
family.
was younger, and so he would they'd come to the show and help test the games and test the puzzles and stuff like that.
Oh, I
So
bet that was fun.
I got my own in-house focus group. So
Wow.
Before we're about to wrap up, well, unless if you want to say something wise, since I think you're trying to say something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your favorite slime when I figure it out? Because I know there was one where the little kid got up and ran from the set or something.
Oh yeah.
yeah, that was
Me too.
that not only is my favorite moment on Figure It Out, that might be my favorite moment on camera.
Wait, what happened?
So we were doing Figure It Out, and we had this little kid who was a circus performer, and he was 6 years old, and he did his talent was he could lay on a bed of nails while holding a brick on his stomach.
Dear
And
gosh.
yeah, and I feel like I can't remember his name.
Brennan, I think.
Brennan, yes.
Yeah.
And so he, if the panel guessed the secret slime action or the secret slime word, the Brennan would get slimed. And
Yeah, but
so,
he was running.
Right,
Sarah
so
Brown guessed.
And told you
we were
grabbed him.
in like the final few seconds, and there's only like two words. There's like one word left or something like that, and the person guesses the word, and he put two and two together that, oh man, if they get that word, I'm gonna get slimed. And he decided at that very moment he did not want to get slimed. So in a split second, as the clock is down, like 3, 2, 1, on 1, Sierra Bravo guesses the word, it lights up, and the slime starts coming down.
Oh.
He spins around out of his stool and takes off, like runs off the set. And I was like, and as slime is like pouring down, I was like, what the heck just happened? And I look over, he's standing down like 10 feet away from me, being like, ha ha ha. And I was like, So I just like, and again, it hit me. I was just like, no, you can't. Like, this is my show. You got to get slimed.
So what happened?
So I took off and I started running after him, and he starts doing like and he takes off and he goes to like the sidewall, which is just a curtain. It's not even part of the set. Like, you don't even look at it. And he's like, he's trying to find like the opening in the curtain, and he finds it and ducks down the curtain. He's now backstage. We are literally backstage. There's like cables and just stuff all over the place.
Did this part air on the show?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Yeah, so it's on YouTube. So then I point to the camera guy and I'm like, let's go. And I open the curtain and I take off down backstage. Like, I'm running down a fire.
You don't care.
And I'm like,
grab the suit and slime.
I grab Brendan and I like carry him back out and like, back out and the place is going wild at that point. And I walk over and I'm like, boom, and I put him in the seat and I just hold and I look over at the guy who does the slime. He's got his finger on the button and I go, like, hit it. And he's like, wham, and he just gets completely covered. But it was like such a great moment because it was not planned. Everything was spontaneous, and it was just one of these things that like ended up happening, and everybody was quick to mobilize. When I pointed at the camera, I'm like, come on, and like everyone took off, and it ended up being this really cool moment. It is on YouTube. It's worth taking a look. It's like I said, not only my favorite.
I've seen that too.
Once you wrap up.
Yeah, it showed the Chris Matthews and stuff.
Yeah. So, since we're wrapping up, where is it? Can anyone find you on social media?
Yeah, I don't spend a ton of time on social media, but I do. My Instagram account is @1003.
Yep.
That's
Yep. And if you guys want to, of course, want to follow Jeff, it'll be in the description below anyway. So.
Yeah.
yes. And we're also me and my buddy Tim have also started another Instagram account just recently, like last week or so, called Lucky Purple Comb.
Hope it can be well. Hope he be well as
check
always.
Check out Lucky Purple Comb.
Alright.
It's the luckiest comb. The luckiest comb on the market.
Down below too.
Yeah, but we'll put links down below.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes.
And I know you originally made a YouTube channel, but your YouTube channel wasn't really. You don't really upload videos on there anymore or something.
Yeah, to be honest, I really don't know what I'm doing.
Wow.
No, except for the performance wheel, which one?
Thank you. Yeah, I enjoy doing making my own videos. I got tons of ideas. The what ends up happening is I go, oh, I do this, and I'll shoot it, and then I'm like, oh, I gotta edit it, and I have to do all this stuff myself, which is fine. I'm not opposed to doing that, but what ends up happening is life gets in the way, whether it's, hey, my kids need something, or I gotta do school pickups, drop-offs, plus work. It becomes very hard to manage all this, which is why I think what you guys do is amazing, because you guys make time for it and get it out there, and it's fantastic.
It's a hustle. It's a hustle to find times for interviews and find when we're all available. But we're able to do it, and it's great.
Yeah.
We're happy to do it.
And you have Phil Moore and Kurt Frog on.
Yeah.
Wow.
I hope that.
Yeah. Of course, guys, if you guys, of course, watching this part, if you guys want to subscribe to his YouTube channel anyway, even though he doesn't follow it, he doesn't really do it videos anymore, but if you guys want to check his content and all, his channel actually has really cool content, especially performance wheel BL, and as well.
There's a ton of brain search episodes on YouTube too.
Oh yeah, I as well. All those what I just mentioned just now is in the description below. But anyway, since we're just social media, YouTube, whatever, blah 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 blah, I'm thinking it's time for
anything you want to say before we go?
For me, guys, it's been awesome getting to be on your show. Thank you guys so much for reaching out and having me on. It's fantastic to talk to true fans who know so much about what I've done. It means a lot to me to know that something I did meant so much to you guys. So thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, no, we're on
Absolutely.
And we've got some very exciting guests coming up after this. So stay tuned.
The people who knows the show, they probably can be happy about it.
We'll probably have at least around 8 to 10 different people who are interested in being on.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're all
We're all now. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you see out some more for more episodes, and we appreciate support. But for now, thank you so much for being here, Jeff, and you're a great person, and you're one of the funnest people that's on the show so far. And I can't wait to have the show again soon, who knows? And can't wait
thank you for having me.
In the future. You're welcome.
Awesome.
But since this is a wrap up and fall moments, there's only one way out of here.
Yes.
Down the brain.
Only one way out of here, and that's down the brain.
Anyways, from all of us, Reno, me, Matthew, Chris, all of us, and Jeff, thank you so much, and see you next time for more. See ya, and bye-bye.
So that was Jake's Having the Style of Show episode 5. What do I think about this episode? It was catchy and whatever it was. So far, I don't know what to say. I have some catchy episodes to point out whatever it was until it was spoiled. But that's just me. But anyways, guys, before I end this episode, I have to give up some announcements regarding to what's the future of LJPCBM Reacts. Now, I have 3 more episodes about to react regarding to Jake's Having the Style Show, and then afterwards, I'm going to react to the 25 content. Why is that? Because after the 25 content, I'm going to be spending the holiday season for the rest of the season. Because once that's over, I'm spending some of my 2022 with LJPCBM React because, number one, I gotta make a feature-length film called The News Hour movie because to dedicate to late Jim Lair. And two, once I do that, then the movie will be out. Not sure when, but it's probably done. Usually as it used to be, because I want to get the News Hour movie done in the works. Because the News Hour movie, and especially because the 15th anniversary documentary to celebrate 15 years, Life of Elvis Quote, it's in the works. So, hang in there. So, I'm also in the works with other LGBT episodes that are coming in 2022. Be prepared for that, but we're going to get prepared for celebrating 750 episodes before we hit the next year's episodes. Because number one, the next logo you're about to see for LGBT is, I'm going to go ahead and go in the archive now to see what it is. Okay, let me search up now for you. I'm not going to give up copyright claims this time around, because if I did, because I will hit the copyright strike. But if I will show you this, okay, this is created by a friend of mine named Remix Plum, okay, and this is originally planned for 2021 release, but unfortunately I had to push it back to 2022 release. So, what I'm doing here, okay, is search up some React logo. React logo 2021. Now, this logo is created by Remix Palm. Now, before I end this episode, React, I'm going to give you a little taste of what will be happening next year, okay? Originally going to have it this year, but never happened. So, here's the logo taste for you, okay? Here it is. Now, it was a refresh and bold new look for LJPCBM's long-running show, which is going to happen online, including my videos on YouTube. This logo will apply to Luke's Hits 50 to 750 episode, which is originally going to happen this year, but it never happened, you know. There was work in progress, it's not yet final. I'll update the new look once we do it. The look is supervised by me, and it's designed by Remix Plum. I hope, and I'll agree with you. Right there, it was published in 2021 of May 2nd. The update look will happen in 2022. So yeah. So as of 2022, we'll have a new look, new opening, things like that. But anyways, guys, double up for LJPCBM episode 726. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned. The next one is gonna be LJPCBM episode number 727. Jake's having the nostalgia show. Tiki Winky himself. Dave Thompson. Now, the episode you're about to see is premiering now. And I'm going to watch the reaction video of Dave Thompson, who portrayed Tiki Winky. I'm not going to give out hints, but I will react to it as soon as I finish reacting to it. But we'll see what happens. Because right now, I'm a huge fan of Teletubbies. That's just me. But until next time, this is Jefferson. Goodbye. Peace out, baby. Good morning, LJPCBM. Discuss pretty soon. Till then, Jefferson out. See ya.
To me, this life I'll never take for granted. And given all the time I failed to really understand it, I never sought to meet the maker of reality, the one who gave the life that which is always happening. But I tried. Why was I the one to see things as I do under the moonlight and the sun? Perception is the question, and the giver holds the key.